running.
Come on. Please be seated. Make sure your phones are all quieted.
You come closer to me.
That's good.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Katie's older brother, Sean. Does my sister look great? How about James? We're going to have a lot of fun tonight, that's for sure. Especially you two. We have a beautiful weather tonight. The landscape looks beautiful. All the hard work is done. The planning and decisions, the dresses, the hair, the 14-day cucumber cleanses. Time to party, almost. First off, I'd like to thank this great showing of family and friends. Conways, all represented here, the Carrolls, the Tragos family, the Dunns, all of Katie's and James' beloved friends who are here today. This is what it's all about. For Katie and James to celebrate their love and commitment to one another with you, their closest and most favorite people in the world. So take a look out there. Let that soak in. They're all here for you. It's a whole lot of love looking back at you. And of course, a special shout out to Gail, who introduced these two way back when. Where is Gail? There's Gail. Would also like to take a moment before we begin to remember a few very important people to Katie and James who are no longer with us, but are certainly present today in spirit. James's grandparents, Joe, Mary, and Maranthea, his uncle Dimitri, and his uncle Joe, Katie's and my grandparents, Ruth and Walter, our uncle Jim, and just recently, our Aunt Jerry. I was honored when Katie and James asked me to be their wedding officiant for their big day. I filled out the paperwork and convinced Christine to write my letter of recommendation, probably against her better judgment. And I'm granted a one-day marriage designation by the governor's office, which doesn't expire until midnight. So, if anyone else would like to take advantage, come find me later on and we will bang this thing out. Before Katie was born, oh wait, I missed a page. This part's important. Actually, my original offer to Katie and James way back when was for this wedding for me to resurrect Glam Slam, my 80s lip sync band that played my wedding. And they counter-offered by asking me to officiate instead. So I guess having me up here might have just come out of panic, their desperation to keep wigs and spandex out of their wedding. I don't know, but in any case, I'm extremely proud to be a part of this special day. You know, despite an 11-year age difference, Katie and I have always been close. In fact, I remember first getting my driver's license all those years ago. And while a lot of kids with new licenses were out cruising around town with a car full of buddies, cranking the tunes, driving around town looking for trouble, I always enjoyed and preferred Katie's company. I took her with me everywhere. Movies to the Woburn Cinema. Out to lunch at the Ground Round, probably. One night I even took her with me up to Fitchburg State, where I was attending college at the time, just so she could see where I lived, order a pizza and watch Growing Pains, hang out with my college roommates. She was my chubby little best friend. Christine approved everything I wrote. Before Katie was born, when it was just my sister, Carrie, and I, we had a fairly calm, quiet family. I think I spent a lot of time doing my own thing, probably daydreaming. Carrie had always been really shy, and in fact didn't really even speak much till she was 4 years old, so it was pretty quiet. So you can imagine the dramatic contrast between our before Katie lives and after Katie. If you didn't know her when she was little, you would not in the least be surprised to know that she was, even back then, full of this fun, infectious electricity. Always happy, always laughing, always positive, always making you smile and laugh, no matter what your mood was a minute before she walked in. She was, and of course still is, impossible not to fall in love with. And I know James can attest to that. There are two schools of thought when it comes to attraction and love and what brings two people together. One of those theories is two of a kind, two peas in a pod. The other is opposites attract. And on the surface, it might seem that Katie and James fall into the latter category. James, quiet, reserved, hardworking, and focused. Katie, sort of different from that. James, way back when, would keep a list of things to get done in life, a list of things to do, and that list probably led him to his successful business, his home, maybe even finding Katie. Hi. Always keeping a list. Katie, I can't really even picture Katie filling out a grocery list. I kind of picture her just winging it when she gets there. But the truth is, it isn't quite that simple as opposites attract, because love itself isn't. Everyone here who's been married knows that it's neither one truth nor the other, but both at the same time. Our significant others are in some ways very much different from us, and in other ways quite similar to us. And Katie and James are no different. There's some common ground between them, of course. Both are blonde. Both share strong bonds with their families and value those close ties more than anything else. Both love the beach and the North Shore. And both have a love and compassion for dogs, so much so that one just wasn't enough. There was talk for a while of Willow and Blue being a part of this wedding celebration today. But of course, they would have run amok and completely trashed the place. And we already have Alan for that. I was talking to James not too long ago, at another recent wedding actually, Stephanie's and Ronnie's a few months ago. And he was telling me all about this road trip he and his brother took last year on motorcycles. They started in San Francisco and drove down the Pacific Coast Highway, and then through Big Sur, which I'd done not too long ago, and so has my brother. And we can both attest as one of the most gorgeous landscapes on the planet, and has been called, quote, the greatest meeting of land and water in the world. On motorcycles, it must have been pretty spectacular. And I think that right there tells us a lot about James. His eye and appreciation for beauty, and a sense of adventure and daring. And so, of course, he'd fall for Katie, too. It makes sense. But the truth is, as much as y'all try to explain love, to quantify it, we really can't. The playwright Oscar Wilde wrote, "You don't love someone for their looks, or their clothes, or for their fancy car, but because they sing a song only you can hear." And all of us here today are glad Katie and James heard each other's song. I'd now like to invite James's sister Grace up for our first reading.